Appeal cards are on the end of the railing down there. If you're going to speak, please fill out a speaker card and turn it in to staff, and they will get it up here to us. Each side will have 10 minutes initially, and then 5 minutes on rebuttal. And once your case is heard and completed, please exit the building. Do not be out there in the lobby and having loud discussions. It bothers me. Martha, will you handle the invocation? Mr. Willie, you want to handle the pledge? Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Dave Doherty. Here. Martha Casabon. Jay Delahousie. Marcus Hines. Todd Richard. Celeste Qureshi. Bernie Willie. Jimmy Davis. Mr. Bill Matthews.
Here.
And Dave Manella.
Here.
And I'm sorry, Dale Mackey.
Yeah.
Mr. Chairman, we have a quorum.
Thank you. Next item on the agenda is the approval of the minutes from the April 3rd meeting. Has everyone had an opportunity to review?
Mr. Chairman, there were a couple of minor changes to the minutes, and I've looked at that, and I move to approve.
Second. We have a motion and a second. Please vote using your light. Next item on the agenda is the election of officers. We have a chairman and a vice chairman to be elected. Ms. Casbon?
Yes, I would like to nominate Mr. Dave Doherty for chairperson. We have a motion and a second.
Okay, we
Any
have a
other-
motion and second. Are there any other nominations?
Close the nominations.
Mr. Matthews moved to close. Second by Mr. Willie. Please vote. Okay, thank you all very much. I hope I can live up to your expectations. That vote was just to close the nominations.
Oh, yep. Now vote on it, yeah.
Now we need to vote on the chairman. Please vote. Thank you all very much. Next is the vice chairman, Mr. Davis.
I'd like to make a motion to appoint Bill Matthews, please.
We have a motion and a second. Nominate Mr. Bill Matthews.
I'd like to also nominate Ms. Celeste Qureshi.
We have a motion to nominate Ms. Celeste Qureshi.
Second.
We have a second. Any other nominations? Do I have a motion to cease nominations, close nominations?
Yes.
We have a
Also moved.
motion to close, seconded by Mr. Davis.
Vote on that motion. To close.
Please vote.
Let's close it.
you need to put both names on a legal pad, and then let each member vote, or check off which one that they were voting for.
Vice Chairman, on this, and everybody sign the same sheet or separate sheet for each person? Sign.
Just put two names, and then how many people want?
Mr. Chairman, can we move that to the end of the agenda? Or does it have to be done at the beginning?
We need to go ahead and get it
Okay,
out of the way.
all right.
Just put
Just thought I'd move
Mr.
along.
Chairman,
Yes,
point of inquiry,
pardon?
we're a public body. Does it not need to have a public vote?
It'll be announced.
It-
It'll be announced. The vote will be announced, and this will be part of the official minutes. What you're gonna do is whoever gets the highest number of the two nominees, that will be announced. This will be made part of the record. Each one of you are going to cast your vote on this paper, and whoever gets the highest number of votes will end up getting appointed as the vice chairman.
What about a tie? What happens?
Well, if it's a tie, we'll worry about that when we get it.
There's always a first time.
Always the first time. Let's see, how are we gonna do this? We need to write down the initial, at least the initials of each name.
Please bear with us while we get through this.
And do me a favor, and just, put Bill's name like that.
That we did it every year.
And how you spell his name? Oh. Let's just do it like that.
Just read the bottom, the tops, and last because they changed seating.
Just do it like that. And then put the 10 names at the top. Okay? Just kind of draw a grid. I'm not kind of afraid to do that.
Celeste votes too? Celeste votes?
So we're still one short. They haven't appointed Jay's in person. Jay, they haven't appointed him, have they?
You make 10?
Not. No, I think he was waiting until he appointed one, but I thought we would have everybody.
Got it?
We would have everybody on the board.
Oh, you got, okay.
Just check one.
Just check.
Start on my end. Okay, okay, you got who we are, okay, gotcha.
Yeah. Most of the time, the council will.
I'm talking it out. And we're gonna vote on that.
All right, we have the votes, and ask the secretary to announce the vice chair.
The vice chairman is Celeste Qureshi. The vote is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 votes. 2, 3 votes.
All right, thank y'all. Staff, do we have any tabling of cases?
Yes, Mr. Chairman. Number 3 on the agenda, the text change, and staff would like to recommend to table the text change indefinitely as we're still working on the text change.
So moved.
Second.
You want to read that?
Anything else, Ellen?
Yes, sir.
Wait, do we have to vote on that?
You want to take it individually? Yeah, we need to.
Yeah,
All right.
read it first and then.
We have text change zoning case 12-050-030, an ordinance to amend the St. Tammany Parish Unified Development Code, Volume 1 zoning, relative to the private, culture, and recreational use associated with subdivisions, and to establish minimum standards to apply to administrative permits. This came to us by Parish Council motion on 3-1. Do I hear a motion to
I
table?
made the motion and Mr. Hines seconded it to
Okay,
table.
we have a motion and a second to table. Please vote. The motion was to table indefinitely.
Yes.
Yes.
Motion carries. Ellen?
Next case, it would be number 9 on the agenda, ZC 12-05-036, and the owner is here and would like to address the commissioners.
Okay. Please state your name.
Yes, my name is Albert Aparicio Jr., and I wish to request a tabling of my application to allow a little further time for me to research the potential zoning change request.
Okay, thank you.
Move to table.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to table. Please vote. Motion is tabled. Helen?
I don't have any other requests, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Chairman, I have a request to move up item number 11 on page 3.
Okay, item 11, zoning case 12-05-038. We have a motion to move this up. It's a, existing zoning is A1, proposed A2, acres is 2.99. Petitioner is Fay Cyprian, owner is Fay Cyprian. Parcel located on the east side of LA 450 south of South Road, north of Starwood Ranch Road, being 87-234 Highway 450, Franklinton, South 17, T4S, Range 10E, Ward 2, District 3. Do we have a motion?
There's
to
a
move
motion.
up? Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, second by Ms. Casabon. Please vote. Motion carries to move up.
The 2025 future land use plan designates the area to be developed with agricultural and residential uses. The site is currently surrounded by undeveloped land and single-family residences. Staff feels that there's no compelling reason to recommend approval and would like to recommend denial of the request.
Okay, we have,
All right. Good evening.
please state your name.
My name is Faye Elsaparan, and I'm here to, rezoning. I have A, B, and C, and I would like to put B and C together for one portion, and A as a portion for rezoning. And the reason for that, because I have a child that needs a living space, and I also need living space. It's not for sale, just for living on.
Okay,
Okay.
thank you. Is there any opposition? Turn it over to the commissioners.
Mr. Willie first.
Mr. Willie?
You want to comment on it?
Yeah, according to what we had presented to us, it looked like it was gonna be one parcel submitted into three, but she's actually requested now to go from one parcel to two parcels. She was, at first, gonna do A, B, and C, but she wants to combine the B and C. So it'd be, a 1.48 acres and a 1.49 acre piece, instead of the three as you see on your map.
Okay, Mr. Casbon?
Yeah, this is, again, in the area, Mr. Thompson told me that this is a family dividing up, trying to give to an heir. So he didn't have a problem with it, so I'm going to make a motion to approve.
We have a
Second.
motion to approve,
That's-
second.
Yes,
Second.
the two parcels.
Into two parcels
The two
instead of one.
parcels instead of the three.
Okay, we have a second?
Second.
Second.
Helen, would they have to resubmit that in?
And also included would be the right-of-way to that second parcel, right? Okay.
But these are three separate parcels now?
There,
No, they actually won,
there's more, it's one.
but
now.
she had
okay.
a survey.
Gotcha.
One
Turn
now.
these up and divide it into
Do
three.
y'all understand that you need to resubmit how you're going to do it into the two parcels instead of the three, and get that back to Helen and the staff and showing the right-of-way, okay? All right, get with her if you have any questions. You requested, they just need a new survey, a new,
A new map
Come
of how
see
you're
how
gonna
it-
divide it.
yeah.
You need,
Just
you
get
need to
with
come up.
Helen. She'll tell you.
Come back up to the mic.
Just let staff know how you're gonna do it, yeah.
Did we vote?
Okay, we have a
Thank you.
motion and a second to approve. Please vote.
They won't sign off on it.
Todd?
Mr. Richard?
Question, I'm sorry.
Okay, motion carries. Okay, is it any other items that need to be moved up? Okay, first item on the agenda is zoning case 12-03-016. Existing zoning is A1A, proposed A4, acres is 51.27. Petitioner, James Simpson. Owner is Team Discipleship Incorporated, Representative Paul Marone. Parcel located on the north side of Penn Mill Road, west of Quave Road, north of US 190, S24, T6S, R10E, Ward 3, District 3. Staff?
Mr. Chairman, would you like to hear the other case for the PUD as well with it, ZC 1203-023?
We can hear them both. We'll have to vote on them separately. though.
I'll make a motion to hear them together.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to hear them together. Please vote. Okay, staff?
The orig,
Yeah, this has got to be screwed up, because I voted yes, and it shows I voted no.
Okay,
That's gonna make a big difference in this meeting.
okay. So Mr. Davis voted no and Mr. Matthews voted
Mr.
yes.
Matthews, would you like to switch seats, please?
Wait,
Yes.
I don't think we can straighten this out like that. It ain't gonna be that easy.
Okay, staff?
yes, Mr. Chairman. This request was originally from A1A to A4, and as you can see on the staff report, the request has been amended from A1A to A3. The 2025 future land use plan designates the area to be primarily developed with agricultural uses, including some residential uses. The zoning change is being requested in order to develop the site with a single-family residential subdivision, and as presented last month, a PUD overlay has also been submitted. At this time, staff recommends that the amended request for NA3 be denied. A revised plan has also been submitted, and I sent you a revised copy with your latest staff report here. So on the revised plan of the proposed single-family residential subdivision, you can see that the number of lots has been reduced from 102 to 92 lots. The front portion remains the same as 50 by 120 lots. The second portion will be from 60 by 120 lots. And the rear portion of the property is now proposed to be developed with lots of 90 by 120. And our recommendation remains the same, to deny. However, we would like to note to the zoning commission that if you'd like to recommend approval of the A3 zoning district zoning change, the revised plan that's been submitted for the PUD meets all the PUD regulation. And the proposed yield plan that was also submitted meets the standard of the underlying A3 zoning district and complies with the applicable development standards.
Mr. Morone?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Paul Marone on behalf of the petitioner. This is the same 51.27 acre tract along Penn Mill Road that we discussed at length last month and that was the subject of the community meeting. No reason for me to go through the whole history of the property again, as I think we went through that in some detail last time. I would say that while we did not resolve all of the outstanding issues with the residents at the community meeting, I do think we had a good dialogue, and I think it was beneficial. I also think that the 30 days has afforded the opportunity for us to make some changes to the plan that I'd like to point out to you that I believe and I hope will be found to be more agreeable to all those involved. Last month, one of the major concerns that was expressed was the density of the project. And that concern really was twofold. It was the number of lots, but it was also the density of the underlying zoning request, which at that time was A4. And we've made changes to both of those. We have reduced the number of lots by 10, going from 102 to 92. And that is reflected on the plan before you. In addition, and perhaps more importantly, we have amended our request for the underlying zoning from the A4 zone to a less dense half-acre zoning of A3. The result is that the plan before you has a density of 1.8 units per acre. That is less than all of the other PUDs that are in this vicinity. If you'll recall, the other PUDs have densities of 2.41 units per acre, 2.0 units per acre, 1.8, and 1.98 respectively. So we are now less dense than every other PUD in this vicinity. We've also been able to maintain a high percentage of green space. In fact, we're at 55% green space. We still have avoided the areas on the property designated as flood zone A, and we still have all the amenities that the PUD requires and that you saw in the plan before you. Another concern with the project from the staff's perspective last month was that it did not have the variety of uses that the staff believes is contained within the spirit of the PUD ordinance. Since our last meeting, we have been approached by Fire District 12, and they have told us that they are looking for property in this area because there is a need for a substation. Asked if we perhaps could work that into our plan, which we have done. So you will see a 1 acre parcel at our southwest corner that has been designated for use by the substation. It's our intent to make a donation to Fire District 12 if and when they're ready to use that substation. We also modified the lot sizes on our northernmost acreage to increase those lots to 90 feet in width. So with those two changes, we believe that, that we are now in compliance with the spirit of the PUD ordinance to allow some multiple uses with the property. Some of the other issues that were raised at our last meeting, and in particular at the community meeting, some of which are not perhaps relevant or appropriate at the zoning level, but I think they bear some comment because they were certainly of great importance to some of the residents. So I felt like I should touch on those. And the first is the utilities. Obviously, under the PUD ordinance, we're required to have central utilities, and we will do that. At the last meeting, I indicated, based on some conversations that I had had with one of the residents, that perhaps we would seek to tie into the existing sewer treatment facility located at Penn Mill Lakes. Since that time, it's been brought to our attention that there are a number of regulatory problems with that facility. As a result, I wanted to be clear to the commission and to the residents that we are fully capable and prepared to have our own on-site facility, that we would have to have duly permitted by DEQ, that ultimately would be donated to the parish and would be maintained under the Tammany Utilities banner. So there is significant acreage that we can do that. We think we can do it in a manner that can be sensitive to the area, and we think that there is benefit in having it under the umbrella of the parish's system so that we have a more uniform standard of maintenance and operation. Another concern at the last meeting was the proximity of this property to the nearby airport. Since that time, Mr. Simpson has taken the opportunity to meet with some of the members of the Covington-Vincent Airport, and they have worked out some of their concerns. We have addressed some of their concerns such that they are now comfortable with the project. And I would like to at least let the commission know what some of those items of concern were and what we are doing to address those. I'd also like to submit a letter that was given to the Covington-Vincent Airport by Mr. Simpson identifying these items. For the record, again, acknowledging that it is not the parish's responsibility to get involved in that matter, but for the purpose of clarity and for the purpose of transparency, we felt it important to put that on the record. First, the developer will construct a 6-foot chain link fence along the western boundary of the Covington-Vincent Airport property. This fence will be constructed after preliminary subdivision approval, but prior to the occupancy of any homes. In other words, once we know that the project is moving forward and is going to be constructed and the infrastructure is going in, we will have that fence built, and it will be done before we come back to you for final approval. The developer will also provide on the face of each final plat that is recorded with the clerk language notifying the potential buyers within the project that the project is located adjacent to the airport and that the project is in the flight path of the airport. We will also, the developer will also provide the notification in the restrictive covenants that will be filed with the clerk of court in perpetuity and will burden each of the lots. And finally, there will be express language in the restrictive covenants, the articles of organization of the Homeowners Association established for the project, prohibiting that association from taking any action to prohibit the operation and or use of the airport. And again, the concern was that the residents in this subdivision perhaps might seek to have the airport cease operation. That is not our intent, and as I told you last month, we are happy to do anything within reason to protect from that possibility. And when I'm done, I know some of the members of the airport want to just say a brief word to confirm what I've said here. Finally, there was the issue raised of traffic, and while traffic is an item and perhaps the primary and almost sole item to be addressed at tentative subdivision approval through the TIA, it's worth noting that we are apprised of the concerns of the area. We are apprised of the fact that we need to examine the intersections of Pruden Road and Highway 190 and Penn Mill and Highway 190, and we will be doing that as part of that traffic study. I would also note and remind everybody that as a part of this project, we'll be responsible for the payment of our impact fees, a great portion of which, about $135,000, will be going toward traffic improvements in the area. Those are not funds that we control, but as you know, go to the parish, and the administration controls those to address needs in the area. So I wanted to make sure that we were clear about that. In conclusion, we've modeled the plan before you, including the density, off of the other organized development and PUDs that are in the area. We've modified the plans to the best of our ability to try to address those concerns that we heard from the staff, from the commission, and from the residents. And while not everybody is satisfied, I would suggest to you respectfully that we have done the very best we can to try to find some common ground, to try to do some things to allay those concerns. We've reduced the density. We've amended the underlying zoning to A3. We've added space for a fire station and increased the lot size in the far northern end of the project. We are fully prepared to construct our own central sewer system and to donate that system to Tammany Utilities for operation and management. And in doing all that, again, we have put our best foot forward to address those concerns that we heard and try to be as reactive as we can. We believe that the plan, as amended, is compatible and is appropriate for the area. And with that said, we would respectfully request your consideration and approval of not only the underlying zoning, but our PUD plan that's before you this evening. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Morone. We have a number of speakers. Some have turned the cards in, but they didn't mark if they wish to speak or not. If I call your name and you do not wish to speak, just let us know and we can go from there. Laurie Alfers? Don't need to speak, okay. Ron Alfers? Annie Gilly? Amy? I'm sorry, it is Amy.
I get that a lot. Hi, I'm Amy Gillier. I'm a resident on Penn Mill, 3 houses down from this proposed rezoning. I've said a lot in the other meetings, so I don't want to repeat myself, but he continuously says that there are other PUDs on this street like this one, and there are, but one is bankrupt, and the other 2 haven't had any activity whatsoever at all in years. Just wanted to stress one more time that this area is just not equipped or designed for this type of development. We strongly think that this is just way too many homes for this little area. We have 2 roads that lead out onto 190, and as it is now, we are 3 to 5 cars deep in the morning trying to get our kids to school or ourselves to work. We have traffic coming from Penn Mill Lakes and Lake Ramsey, along with the other homes that are being developed back there. And I know, we can't do a traffic study at this point, but, I just have to tell y'all, it's just the traffic it's going to put on our roads will put our children and our families in danger with accidents. And we see it all the time. My friend lost her daughter in a car accident. They had 3 children just in Penn Mill Estates that died from a car accident. They fly down these streets, and this is just adding more people to this area the way it's designed, the way the roads are, to 190, there are only 2 roads, Pruden and Penn Mill, and that's it. And there are no other access roads. So just thank you.
Thank you. Matthew Allen?
I'm Matthew Allen. I'm a resident of the area right off 190, and I have a couple of exhibits I would like to have distributed. And I'd like to start while those are being passed around. First, I want to reemphasize the zoning staff recommended not rezoning this. Many reasons not to rezone, and we've already hashed out most of them. Things like they're too far from the commercial employment centers. One of the arguments came up that, well, it is convenient to New Orleans. Well, if that's the case, then why don't we just rezone all of St. Tammany as a PUD? The roads are poor. Penn Mill Road goes underwater several times a year. It has a substandard bridge on it. Many accidents. Horse Branch Road too far. Not near any major intersections, which is one of the purposes of a PUD. The Fire District 12, that is not the only place it could go. Nelwyn McGinnis of the Nature Conservancy actually said that they were offered a piece of property to the fire district for a substation there. The airport and flight path, do we really want to put this many houses under the flight path of an airport so close? It just brings back to mind Kenner. Also, it's not needed. As Amy said, there are 3 other PUDs within a mile that have not sold a lot since 1907-08. And so it's been years and nothing's developing. Our biggest thing is the sewer and stormwater runoff. I have an insert in there, one page, a couple of pictures of Horse Branch Creek. where it comes into the Tchefuncte River. The top picture is looking upstream from Horse Branch Creek, and you can see the sandbars and things. The second picture is of Horse Branch Creek entering the Tchefuncte River, and you can tell that Horse Branch Creek is now a gray water creek from the developments. Before Lake Ramsey started developing, and Pin Mill Lakes especially, this was a clear running stream that was the same color as the Tchefuncte River. And now all this pollution from these existing developments, just 2 of them, mind you, make it miles downstream and impact a whole lot of lives and the fisheries and everything else along with this natural and scenic stream that's registered with the state of Louisiana. The other thing I want to have is a soil report that came from the USDA and the National Resource Conservation Service. And they have a listing of all the soils in the parish and what they're appropriate for in their properties. And if you return to the back few pages, you will see a picture. I'm sorry it was so much. The whole report is 31 pages. I'll give it to the staff here. I tried to cut it down and leave you some information. But if you look, there's one custom soil source report, map dwellings without basements. And the red indicates that these soils won't support a lot of houses here. The water table is very high, it's a very soft soil, and you'll end up with houses kind of sinking into the ground. And then the next color one is local roads and streets. And this is the U.S. government, USDA, saying that streets and roads are going to buckle here. They are not going to be supported by the underlying soils. It's a really soft, fine soil. The water table is very, very high. They have flooding problems here whenever it rains. So just another reason for these not to, for this zoning not to go forward. And just so y'all can see, this is the area showing the roads, and the red is not appropriate for houses in the area also. So pretty much the homeowners in the parish, if this is approved, will be left with subsiding substandard subdivisions that continuously need repairs. Also, the sewage issue. Currently, they can place 17 houses on this property with individual septic tanks because 3 acres can absorb the septic system for one house. That is a far better option for going into our scenic streams than 100 houses worth of sewage directly into the stream that will run directly into the Nature Conservancy and Horse Branch Creek and just add to the problems that we already have. These problems have been going on. I started complaining to DEQ back in 07, 08, and 09, and we still haven't been able to get these things resolved. Pin Mill Lakes, Pin Mill Lakes and Lake Ramsey have failed to meet their permit limitations over the years, and there's no reason to expect another similar type of sewage plant to be able to meet the same rigorous limitations that are required for these scenic streams. This would be the same poor planning that the comprehensive zoning was supposed to prevent. So I would like to thank you all for letting me speak.
Thank you. The opposition is out of time. We will allow them to go on forward until we get all the speakers up, and Ms. Barone will add that amount of time to your rebuttal. David Norris.
Hello, Councilman. I'm David Norris, pilot and a shareholder in Covington Vincent Airport. After the last meeting on Coop Drive, Mr. Simpson did indeed request a meeting and met with Don Ski Road, the board of directors, and shareholders at the airport. And after a lengthy meeting, he met the request of the airport, and according to the letter, we'd like to have it submitted into the minutes of this meeting that were wrote by Paul Marone. The Covington Vincent Pilots Association has no objection to the rezoning at the present time. Thank you.
Thank you. Mary Henderson, you said you didn't need to speak.
I wanted just to add something.
Okay.
Okay, I appreciate that everyone has given something, you know, or whatever, but I just need to remind you that, I mean, I'm a former educator, and I've taught such things as Louisiana Wild and, you know, different teaching programs that the state and also the national level put into play. And this is one thing they teach is we're all downstream, you know. New Orleans and Louisiana is constantly fighting what's coming down the Mississippi River. I hate to tell you, with this being approved, you know, we're almost to the top of St. Tammany Parish, and whatever's coming in that river is going into Lake Pontchartrain, it's going into Madisonville. You know, we just got Fontainebleau State Park cleared up. You know, I can't see it at this time. Other things, like they've said, have been approved, and they've done nothing. Why would we do that again and risk, you know, the life that we have here? You know, I understand, we talked at one of the meetings, affordable housing. There's plenty of housing around. Look, go take a drive. There's so many houses for sale. If you want a house, you can find one. And you can find it for less than what they're proposing at $250,000 to $300,000 a house. You know, again, the roads, you know, we drive those roads every day, and I can tell you, without, you know, without traffic lights or whatever we need there, the drainage updated, is this subdivision going to give us that? I seriously doubt it. And there's people that live along the Horse Branch Creek, the drainage. We're battling with the Nature Conservancy, the flooding that is pushing straight down over the Conservancy into the river. You know, you can't tell me we haven't had problems with our river. You know, we've cleaned it up. Think about where it's going to go in the future. I guess the next generation can clean it up again.
Thank you. Matthew Allen?
Yes, sir. You already had.
Oh, okay. You must have had two cards here then. All right, Mike Gill, you had your card marked you didn't want to speak. If you have anything to add without going over, you're welcome to come forward. Amber Kuntz, you have anything to add? Shane Kuntz. Sean Kuntz, I'm sorry. Okay. All right, there was a community meeting, and I think Mr. Morone went over. Do any of the commissioners have anything to add? Mr. Davis?
Yes, we had a community meeting a couple of weeks ago, and I appreciate all the public coming out and Paul going out. And this is where Paul went ahead and changed the actual PUD overlay and with less lots and things like this. So I think it all went well there. I did get their opinions from the public and Paul about what he wanted to do and stuff like that. My concern, obviously, at this time, and I'll allow Paul to talk, is that I think we need to really just stick on the density issue initially, besides with this PUD overlay. I understand how the PUD overlay is part of the actual density screen here, but it seems like to me we're trying to fix a situation for an overlay instead of trying to define the density.
Okay, Mr. Morone?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just, I believe I had some rebuttal time, and so I just wanted to briefly go over some of the points. Comment was made about the other PUDs in the area. There were several comments about that. I want to clarify why I refer to those PUDs, because people have been coming up and saying, well, those PUDs didn't build out, and those PUDs are vacant, or they've been foreclosed on. That's not really the point that I'm trying to make with those PUDs. My point about mentioning those PUDs is that those PUDs were approved. A determination had to be made at some point in time, in the not too distant future, the last 5 years or so, that those plans at that density were compatible and acceptable. Now, whether they ever were built out, whether they were partially built out and went bankrupt, is not my point. My point is that somebody came to this podium with that plan, with that density, and this body determined that it was appropriate. And so it is for that reason that I refer to those PUDs. And I don't mean to be argumentative when I do that, but I think, in my opinion, the approval of those PUDs suggests and gives guidance to what is appropriate and compatible in that area. And that's why I bring that up. And I think that goes to Mr. Davis's comment. If we're talking about what is the appropriate density, well, let's look at the plans that were approved out there. Okay? Those plans are all more dense than this project. One. All right, let's look at let's call it unorganized development. The lots that are out there that were created without coming before this body. The vast majority of those are strip outs along Penn Mill Road that are half acre in size. That density is consistent with the A3 density that I'm proposing. So I would respectfully suggest to you that the plan as amended is consistent and compatible with what's out there. Now, Mr. Allen mentioned the soils and the fact that perhaps this land is not suitable for building houses on. If that's the case, then I can tell you there is not a magic line around this property. Okay, one thing I know is that just because this is owned by Team Discipleship, if you step across that line, it's not materially different. And I would submit to you that there are standards in place for the building of the roads in this development that require that the soils be mucked out, that there be a certain base, that there be a certain soil cement, and that those roads be built in a manner that they will last. And those are the requirements that we will be forced to follow. Stormwater and sewer runoff, there are stringent requirements that we will have to follow, as you know, from this parish and from DEQ. There's silt fencing. There are any number of regulations that are out there that address these issues that we are subject to and that we will abide by. And I want to make sure that, that this commission understands that. Finally, with regards to the traffic, again, all I can say about the traffic is that the system is set up in St. Tammany Parish where traffic is a tentative subdivision issue. At that time, the sole focus of the developer, of the staff, and of the commission, and of the residents will be the traffic. And it will be the flow on those roadways, and it'll be the impact we have, and it'll be the improvements that are required, if any. And that will not be up to me to tell you. I'm not qualified to do that. There will be a traffic engineer that is approved by the parish. That engineer is told by the parish what to study and how to study it, and that report is generated to the parish. And at that point, then we can talk intelligently about what the situation is out there. I believe that the area can withstand these homes. If I'm proven wrong in that traffic study, then the parish has regulations that deal with that. But that's another step in the process, and that is not the step that we are in today. It was noted that the fire district doesn't need this property. They were offered another piece of property where the Nature Conservancy is. All I can tell you is that unsolicited, I got a call, said, "Can I meet with you? We need a piece of property." I didn't call them. I didn't seek them out. They said they saw it in the paper. They needed a location. They asked if we perhaps could accommodate them, and we did.
1 minute, Paul.
So I wanted to be clear how that came about. The bottom line is, in our opinion, we respectfully suggest to you that, that at this stage, given what is relevant tonight, which is the zoning and the PUD overlay, we think that this plan as amended is compatible and consistent with what's in the area, and we would respectfully request your approval tonight.
Thank you, Mr. Morone. With, yeah, you have 5 minutes total.
I don't even need 5 minutes. Those PUDs were
Floor is
approved.
closed,
I'm
Mr.
sorry?
Chairman.
Pardon? Okay.
Just real quick, those other PUDs that he said, you know, that were approved and that they were denser, those were approved right after Katrina when nobody knew what was going on. And everybody thought, you know, St. Tammany was gonna be busting out the seams and people were gonna be flying over here and buying houses, and it stopped and it didn't happen. One went bankrupt. So that's all I wanted to add. Thank you.
One more.
All right, thank you for letting me come back up. Again, the PUDs were approved before the comprehensive rezoning, so we should stick with the comprehensive rezoning. The strip outs that he talks about is one line of houses in the middle of nothing. There's nothing behind them. There's no density there to speak of, to tell you the truth. The other subdivisions, Pill Mill Lakes does have problems with flooding, and there are issues the homeowners have with the developer as we speak that are being processed at this time. Also, he talked about the silt fencing and all that stuff for stormwater runoff. This soil has a very fine clay component that's really small particles that goes right through these silt fencings. It will enter the river system, and it takes years for it to get out. And then also, not only will sewage get in there, but once these houses are built with their lawns, they'll also have lawn fertilizers and pesticides and things like that running into our natural streams, which is one of the best natural resources that St. Tammany Parish has. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. I'm going to close the floor to public comment. I'm going to turn it over to the commissioners for comments.
I just have a question, actually, for the gentleman that just spoke. Do you work for the Department of Agriculture?
No, ma'am, I do not. This came off the...
Come up to the mic, please.
This came off the internet. It's an internet site run by the Natural Resource Conservation Service, which is a subdivision of the USDA.
Okay.
And they list all the soils throughout the parish. And it's supposed to be used for planting purposes here.
As, in terms of knowing that the, how fine the soil is and if it will, you know, break the barrier,
That's
how do
my
you
own
suppose-
personal experience.
Okay,
I'm the
okay.
president of the Lower Functor River Association. I've seen it happen time and time again.
Okay.
And Lake Ramsey, even with hay bales and silt fencing around it, it helped, but it didn't help enough with the river system. And I'm president of the Lower Functor River Association, so I see a lot, look a lot of this. Most of my family are geologists, so I have a bit of a background there also.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Matthews?
Mr. Allen?
Yes, sir.
Sorry. You mentioned that this report indicates that the roads cannot be supported in this area. Has Penn Mill Road failed?
Penn Mill Road, it's failing. It's getting cracks through it, and they're forming
Anything-
part of. And it
It's
was
not more than the
Yeah.
normal roads in St. Tammany Parish, so is it?
Yeah, well, the issue, St. Tammany Parish, we have poor soils here, there's no doubt about
Okay.
it. And one of the big issues with development is most of the best land has already been taken for development. So now we're talking about developing marginal to sub-marginal lands.
Okay, and one other question. You had also said that this report indicates that building on this property would have a problem. Isn't there a fairly extensive industrial, if you will, plant right across the street? What's the condition of that?
I'm not sure what the condition is. They've been there for years and years. It's basically some big metal buildings sitting there, and they're always moving stuff in and out, so it's not a whole lot of weight, I don't think, just sitting there in one spot, like a house would be.
But it hasn't
Yeah, and I'm
collapsed.
not sure what kind of foundations they have or anything like that, but a lot of times, these subdivisions are built to make money, so the foundations aren't always the best they could be for the areas and things like that.
Okay,
So,
thank you.
thank you.
Mr. Mackey?
Yes, did we have, I thought Mr. Morone said there was going to be someone from the airport like last month?
They did, he spoke.
I'd like to speak for myself and not the airport if I could.
I'd like some information on the airport.
Come on up.
You come to the mic, please. Please state your name and address.
Yes, sir. Don Skiro, number 7 Beth Drive, Covington.
Thank you.
Okay.
I'm president of the Covington Pilots Association. What is your question?
Okay, who owns the airport?
There's a group of us that own it. I would say we are a corporation out there, and we have about, how many stockholders, guys? How many stockholders do we have, do you remember? 23 stockholders.
Okay. What's the length of this? I'm trying to get a feel how active this airfield is and, you know, what kind of future it has and stuff. What's the length of it?
The strip is 3,200 feet long.
Okay, that's good
It's
enough.
200 feet wide.
200 feet wide?
200 feet wide, the strip itself. And it was built by a gentleman by the name of Farley Vincent back in the early 60s.
Okay, that's enough. Do y'all have hangars there? I hadn't seen
We have some shade ports and,
some T hangars or something like
yeah,
that? Okay.
small shade
So
ports.
you do have planes that live at the airport?
Yes, sir.
How many would you say? Half a dozen?
I'd say probably 23, 24.
That many?
Mhm.
Okay. And so you have really more landings than I expected. I mean, what would you say on what you want to use, a day, month, week, year, or what? Just,
I would say it's mostly, there's very little business flying.
yeah, sport flying kind of
Yeah,
thing.
mostly.
What would you say
I
on
would
the
say,
busyness of it?
It may be 3 or 4 flights a day.
Okay, that's good enough. It's a grass strip.
Yes, it is.
Okay. The futures for paving it, in other words, of airfield becoming more important?
Not at this time. We don't have
Okay.
any
All right.
plans for paving.
Can you all, since this subdivision's over there, can you all use right traffic pattern, say, when you're landing to the north and left traffic when you're landing to the south? Could that be agreed upon?
Oh, yes.
That way it won't go over that subdivision, this
Yes,
proposed part.
yes, we could probably do that unless someone comes in that's not familiar with the area.
But generally,
know.
it would be that. It's a private airfield, so.
Yes,
you know.
correct.
Okay, let me see. I guess that's about it. I do have one question for Mr. Marone.
Okay.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, bud. Yes, Mr. Mackey.
Paul, y'all were talking about putting this 6-foot chain link fence along the west side of the field.
That's correct.
That's the field, not just the west side of your development.
No, we're going to fence the field's property.
Right. Now, that would go for the length of the runway plus the runway extensions?
That's correct. It'd be the entire property line, the entire west property line owned by the Covington-Vincent Airport Incorporated.
Okay, because they do probably, I hadn't seen it, but they probably have a rough extension and then the runway
Yeah, it is
itself.
not just the length of the landing area, but it's the entire property, all the property that they own.
Mm-hmm. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Ms. Gastelum?
Yes, I think with the community meeting, that a lot of questions that we had as a commission have been answered. That is this, when we're looking at the zoning, we're looking at, is this an appropriate place to put homes and in the safest manner that we can. We did not want to make it the A4, the smaller lots and stuff, but I think it's appropriate for the A3 and how the conditions and the things that they have put on it. This was a sod farm, so I feel like there had to been some fertilizer on this property all along when you're talking about homes being built and what it will bring to the area. I know that the water is monitored and there are some difficulties with the sewage that could be causing some of these problems. That this particular development has brought out some things that we're looking at to really improve things that's going on out there now. With that, I'd like to make a motion to approve first the zoning, and we'll have to vote on the zoning first.
Just one, right?
Yeah, just the zoning at this
Okay.
time.
Second.
All right.
We'll vote on
We
the
got a
zoning.
motion and a second. Mr. Manila, you had,
Yeah, I have a further question.
Oh, okay.
Mr. Marone kept referring to the existing PUDs that are there
Yes, sir.
as consistent or similar to what the request is.
Yes.
But a point either to staff or chairman is the fact that the standards today under the comprehensive rezoning, are they different for the standards today than for which the existing PUDs were built?
The PUD standards for development of a PUD they're very similar as they were under the ordinance 523. Now we use the Unified Development Code. I'm not sure if
My
I'm
question
actually.
is, under the comprehensive rezoning plan, which was subsequent to the building of the original PUDs that are there, that council continues to refer to as similar, is that correct?
It was, the approval of those PUDs was based on the underlying zoning, which was suburban agricultural at the time, which was maybe a little less than 2 lots per acres. And it was also because of the comprehensive rezoning, which was a recommendation for planned residential district.
Was that prior to the comprehensive rezoning plan? Say
Yes, it
yes
was.
or no?
Yes,
It
it
was
was.
prior to, correct?
Yes, it was.
Thank you.
Okay, we have a motion and a second on zoning case 12-03-016, A1A going to A4. Please vote. I'm sorry, A3.
No, A3.
A3.
A3. We vote on them separately.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You got
We
to
got
be kidding my ass.
four yeas and 5 nays.
Mr. Chairman, these aren't recording accurately.
Pardon?
I request that they report accurately to the vote.
Okay.
The commissioners and the votes are not consistent.
I voted yes, it shows no.
I recommend we test each one in public to verify where we should sit.
Okay. All right.
Or at a minimum, Mr. Chairman, a voice vote perhaps?
Okay, let's go with the voice vote, so we get it right, and then we can double check who's,
Mr. Chairman, we ought to run down the commissioner by commissioner, and let us vote orally
That's what we
Okay.
rather than by the lights, because the lights are screwed up.
yep, that's what we're fixing to do.
Would you
Ms.
like to
Casabon?
I voted yes.
Okay. Mr. Hines?
Yes.
Mr. Richard?
No.
Celeste?
No.
Mr. Willie?
Yes.
Mr. Davis?
No.
Mr. Vanilla?
No.
Mr. Matthews?
Yes.
Mr. Mackey?
No.
Okay, 5 nays and 4 yeas, and my vote would have to go with the majority. So the motion fails to approve.
So on the.
There would be no reason to
no
hear the
reason-
second.
Yeah, to vote on the second one, correct? Or do we have to? fix
No,
the PUD?
no reason to hear the PUD then.
I think we need some action in
Some
the event of an
action has to
appeal
take
so that it can
place.
go on to the,
Right,
to the council.
Okay.
okay. We'll do the same. I'll make a motion to, well, it's crazy to do the PUD, but how would we do that? Mark?
In order to make a recommendation to the parish council, since you made a motion to approve which didn't carry, you need to make the motion to deny it.
Okay. So just to deny, all right.
Typically, Robert's rules, you do not make a negative motion. You make a motion to approve, and then the commission will vote nay. You don't propose a negative motion.
Yes, sir, you do, because the parish council has to have a recommendation under state law. This does not constitute a recommendation. What you have done is to vote, you've made a motion to approve, and that motion has simply failed. So now, that is not the recommendation to the parish council. So you need a recommendation. It's better to make the recommendation, the motion to deny.
Now, are we talking about the PUD or the zoning?
No, I was talking about the original.
Zoning.
motion.
The original.
Yes,
zoning.
that motion has simply failed. So you
Okay.
don't have a recommendation to the parish council at this point.
Okay.
Final recommendation. We need a final recommendation under state law. The parish council can't take action unless it has the final recommendation.
So somebody needs to make a recommendation to deny.
That's correct.
I'll make a motion to deny.
Mr. Davis makes a motion to deny. We have a second from Mr. Matthews. Who? Second. Okay. Please vote on the motion to deny. Oh, I'm sorry. Ms. Casabon?
The motion is now, so I want.
Motion is to deny.
No.
Okay. Mr. Hines?
No.
Mr. Richard?
Yes.
Celeste?
Yes, I guess.
Mr.
I'm
Willett?
so confused. Sorry.
Mr. Willie?
Yes.
Mr. Davis?
Yes.
Mr. Manella? Yes. Mr. Matthews?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah.
Now, do we need a motion on the PUD? Okay.
Sorry, we have a vote of 7 to 3 to deny. Is that correct?
They have to correct.
Okay. All right. So the motion to deny carries.
No,
the PUD. All right, on the PUD, since the zoning failed, legal counsel is advising we need to have a motion to deny the PUD.
I'll make a motion to deny the PUD.
We have a motion and second to deny the PUD. Ms. Casabon?
Yes. Whatever.
Mr. Richard? Yes. Where'd Mr. Hines go?
He had to go out.
Okay. Celeste? Mr. Willie?
Yes.
Mr. Davis? Mr. Manella?
Yes.
Mr. Matthews?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. So motion on the PUD to deny carries. 6, 7. Okay, 8 to nothing to deny, right? 8 to nothing to deny. Okay. My vote goes with the majority. All right, item 4, zoning case 12-05-031, existing zonings A1, proposed A2, and mobile home overlay, 5 acres, parish council motion on 3-1, parcel located on the north side of Sterner Road, west of LA 40, District 6. Staff?
The 2025 future land use plan calls for the area to be developed with residential and agricultural uses. Staff feels that there's no compelling reason to increase the density in the area to an A2 zoning. However, staff does not have any objection to the addition of a mobile home overlay to the site. So staff recommend denial of the A2 and approval of the MHO, manufactured housing overlay.
Okay. Anyone here opposed to this in the public?
The petitioner
Okay.
present.
Commissioners?
Petitioner present. That's y'all. Go up. I need to ask you a question. Do y'all understand? Good. And then, tell them who you are.
I'm sorry?
Tell them your name.
Please
Lynette
state your name
Sturmer.
and address
20441 Sturmer Road,
and your name.
Lynette Sturmer.
Okay.
Do you understand, y'all just want to put a mobile home in this particular area?
Yes.
And y'all were advised that you needed to have it rezoned?
Yes.
Okay, do you understand that you don't, but we can allow the trailer, the mobile home overlay? That you just want to put the trailer?
Right.
Okay, then the staff's recommendation was not to rezone it, but to grant you the overlay. So therefore, you can put the trailer, because there are other trailers in that area.
Right.
So I'm going to make a motion to, as staff said, not to grant, we're just granting the mobile home overlay.
Okay.
Okay?
Yes, ma'am.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. What was your name again?
Pardon? Your name. Give them your name.
Lynette
for the
Sturmer.
Fill out a card, please.
I did, sweetie.
Okay, you've already got a card?
Uh-huh.
Okay. All right, thank you. All right,
We have a motion and a second.
we have a motion and second.
We need to clear it. I know, I told her to clear it. Mine's still on.
Okay. Do y'all feel comfortable
Oh, you can't
on the
vote.
rest of these to use the light machine? No. Okay, all right.
I vote
Ms. Casbon?
yes for the motion
Mr. Hines?
to approve.
Mr. Richard? Yes. Celeste?
Yes.
Mr. Willie?
Yes.
Okay. Motion carries. Next item, zoning case 12-05-032. Existing zoning A1, proposed zoning A1 with a mobile home overlay, 2.13 acres by Parish Council motion on 3-1. Location, parcel located at the end of Dewberry Road, west of South Fitzmaurice Road. Council District 2, staff?
The 2025. Hello. The 2025 Future Land Use Plan calls for residential and agricultural development in this area. Staff has no objection to the request for a manufactured housing overlay and recommends approval.
Ms. Casbon?
Is the petitioner present? Can come to,
Do we have a petitioner present? Okay.
state.
My name is Diane Sambola.
And you just want to put a mobile home in this particular
Yeah,
area?
the back of the farm.
Okay. I make a motion to approve.
Motion by Ms. Casbon, seconded by Mr. Willie to approve. Ms. Casbon?
Yes.
Mr.
Well, we're
Hines?
voting now? Yes. Yes. I made the
Richard?
motion.
Mr. Willie? Davis?
Yes.
Manella?
Yes.
Matthews?
Yes. Yes.
Motion carries.
Maybe give it out, huh?
All right, zoning case 12-05-034,
We're back
existing
in the dark
zoning
ages.
is A4A. Requested zoning is HC2, acres are 25,000.
Point of order, what happened to the 033?
I'm sorry, I skipped it, sorry about that, thank you. Zoning case 12-05-033, existing zoning A2, proposed zoning NC6, 2.42 acres. The petitioner is Donna Cooper, owner Donna and Charles Cooper, parcel located on the west side of LA 1077, south of Stagna Road, being 72087 Highway 1077, Covington, Ward 1, District 3. Staff?
The 2025 Future Land Use Plan calls for the area to be developed with residential uses. Staff feels there is no compelling reason to recommend approval to the requested NC6 zoning, considering that the site is surrounded by residentially zoned properties, and staff recommends denial.
Okay, thank you. We have some opposition.
Yes.
Come on up and state your name.
Is the petitioner present?
Shouldn't we ask the petitioner to come first?
Is the petitioner present?
Pardon?
The petitioner, is he?
The
Petitioner.
petitioner should come first.
Yes, you're right.
Hi, my name is Donna Cooper. I'm here to recommend rezoning of 72087 Highway 1077. It's been noted in the zoning staff report that this piece of land is surrounded by residential property. I don't agree that I am surrounded by residential property. The property adjoining mine to the left is vacant and has been said to be donated to a church for possible maybe donation to a whatever, I don't know what they want to do with that, but it's vacant. The piece of land to the right is a single-family residential piece of property that is used for residential. I think most of the property owners along this area are waiting for commercial zoning. I am looking to construct a modest-sized venue with lush landscaping, keeping it within the familiar setting it is now. There are churches, schools, water companies, major gas stations coming up in the immediate area. Therefore, I ask for approval of rezoning of the property.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Martin?
John Martin, Goodby Civic Association. I mentioned that last time, but we still don't have a sign on this property either, saying, and I think Ms. Casabon saw it one time at the shooting range, but there's been no sign. So I went down the street knocking on doors. A lot of these people are not in the Goodby Civic Association. And would the people that live in that area that don't want this please stand up? These are people that live down Stagner Road in that area. And they're all came tonight because they really don't want commercial there. Now, we have fought very hard, and I know all of y'all know that. We've fought very hard to do commercial at the intersections of highways, the big industrial park, the 190 and 1077, but keep it rural in between. What they're asking for here is NC6. And y'all know that opening up commercial there is like opening up Pandora's box. NC6 can be NC 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. It just, any approval of commercial there would be an absolute disaster along that road. We've striven very hard to keep the rural character of that and not end up with strip malls going down 1077. And irregardless of what, if the zoning is there, then you have no control of what ends up there, okay? And things can change in the future. So we really want to keep this residential. The residences all up and down the road don't want commercial there. And the staff sees no reason for it, and the people that live in the area see no reason for it. And I'll sit down and let other people talk, unless y'all had any questions with it.
Thank you,
Okay.
Mr. Martin.
Thank you.
We have a number of cards from people against it, but they did not wish to speak. I'm going to run through them real quick, and if there's a change that you wish to speak, please come forward. And Matthew Allen,
That was Dr.
Claudia Simpson, Henry Vernon Stagna Jr., Amanda Schubert, Dickie Brady, Randall Curvcar. Okay. We have two cards from Mr. Curvcar. Okay. Oh, okay. Excuse me. Yeah, one's junior and one, okay. All right. All right. Ms. Cooper, do you have any rebuttal? Just a moment, Ms. Cooper. We have one more. Did you fill out a card? Okay. Come forward and state, let me,
All I wanted to say that was in respect to Mr. Vernon Stanga. I think he's the only one on the 1077 corridor. I think the rest of the people are speaking about the Stanga Road area and behind me. Is it going to stop any of the production of 1077's commercial ongoings? I don't know.
all right, thank you.
Thank you.
Please state your name and address and then fill out a card for us.
My name is Bill Smith. I live at 10 on Whiskey Oaks Lane, 70125 Whiskey Oaks Lane. This is right off the corner of 1077 and 1085, just a few blocks down from this property. We've been coming to these meetings, most of you know, except for the new ones, who I am, and been coming to these meetings pretty regularly, try to keep some semblance of sanity in our neighborhood and our area, and fortunately, we've done a pretty good job so far, I think, thanks to John and with the Goodby Association and other folks in the area. You know, we have quite a bit of commercial at the intersection of 1077 and 1085. There's some commercial there. They're currently developing a car wash, gas station, and a McDonald's on the corner there. This is right across the street from the school. And when this went through the zoning and was ultimately approved, we were pretty much assured at that time that there was opposition from this commission and from the council and everybody that we talked to about stripping out commercial all along 1077 from 1085 to 190. And this is kind of leading in that direction. I don't think it's a good idea. I don't think we should have, I think there's a pocket of commercial on the corner there. I think some commercial up by I-12, which has all been zoned HC2. And it's currently there, it's currently available, some of it's for sale. Anybody that wants to develop a commercial property along there, there's land available, they can buy it, they can do whatever they want with it, it's already zoned. But we don't need to change zoning on additional parcels along 1077. We need to try to keep it as residential as we can. Thank you.
Mr. Martin, do you have anything else to say?
No, sir, just to reiterate that I think this is Pandora's box if you open this. Okay, we've fought for years to keep some semblance of the rural part, and we've gone along with the commercial where commercial should be at the intersections. And to start stripping out 1077 and have it look like 21 or 59 is not what the people in the area want. They don't want the traffic, they don't want that, okay? We appreciate it. Thank you all very much.
Thank you. Ms. Cooper, do you have any further comment? Okay, I'm gonna close the floor and turn it over to the commission. Ms. Casabon.
Yes, I concur with staff that, and also that we have worked very hard, and even though the people are not on the highway, they live down Stanger Road, and they would have to take that, off the highway, that this is just not an appropriate zoning. I'm gonna make a motion to deny.
I'll second that.
Motion to deny, seconded by Mr. Mackey. Mr. Matthews?
Ms. Cooper, I have a question, please. I was just reviewing what NC6 is, and that's what you've requested is NC6. And I feel reasonably sure you're not planning to put a golf course, a community center, a convention center, or a marina. Why is it that you're asking for NC6?
It was recommended by the zoning office. We're looking to do a wedding venue, a party venue, birthday parties, baby christenings,
Okay.
to a modest
Mr.
scale.
Matthews,
Yeah.
if I may clarify.
Please.
The lady came to my office and, explained to me what she wished to do. And, she would, in order to have a facility where she could serve alcohol, she would need to apply for an HC3. The closest the lowest zoning that would allow her to have a conference center was the NC6, which she wouldn't, and this is.
And it's really not a conference center okay. All right, that answers my question.
Okay,
Okay,
thank you.
We have a motion and a second to deny. Ms. Casabon? Mr. Hines? Mr. Richard? Celeste? Mr. Willie? Davis? Okay. Motion to deny carries. No, yes. Let's see, that was 33, so that was 33, right? Okay. Zoning case 12-05-034, existing zoning A4A, single-family residential, proposed zoning HC2, highway commercial district. Acres is 25,000. Petitioner is Laura L. Brandt. Owner is Citizens Bank and Trust, Laura Brandt. Parcels located on the east side of Spanish Court, north of Highway 433, being lots 3 through 10, Square 2, Central Park Subdivision, Ward 8, District 12. Ms. Brandt, you here? Yes. Okay. You want to come forward and?
The 2025
Staff report, excuse me.
The 2025 future land use plan designates the site to be developed with commercial and residential uses. And if you pull the 2025 map on the plan that we have online, you can see that there's a multitude of recommendation between commercial, a planned district, and a mixed use, and residential. However, it is surrounded by a lot of commercial, but on the east side, there's a lot of residential. You still have some single family and some mobile homes. So at this time, staff feels that the HC2 may be a little too intense for the area. The property was zoned C1 before the comprehensive rezoning, so at this time, we'd like to recommend denial.
Thank you. Ms. Brandt?
I'm Laura Brandt with Citizens Bank and Trust, who is the owner of the property. What we were asking for was a rezoning back to the original zoning of a C1. We inadvertently asked for HC2 because we own an office building adjacent to these vacant lots that's zoned HC2, which was it was originally C2 and it became an HC2. So inadvertently, we asked for HC2, but we probably should have asked for C1. Let me just state, this property is located off of Old Spanish Trail. You access it from a dead-end street. It's a dead-end street. It's Spanish Court. It's all commercial properties. There is a body shop and a couple of office buildings. And again, we own an office building adjacent to these vacant lots. Our intention is to sell the property. We're a bank. We do not own property in perpetuity. We repossess this property. We're attempting to sell it as commercial property. The building with the lots, if we can are successful in selling it that way, or we'd sell the vacant lots, and somebody to the building. But again, we're requesting a commercial zoning back to commercial zoning. We were unaware that the property was rezoned back in 2009 with this comprehensive rezoning. It wasn't until we had a recent appraisal that the appraiser pointed it out. Our property's been devalued because it's now an A4, A4. So we're just really asking to go back to what it was zoned before because it's surrounded by commercial property. Thank you.
Do we have anyone in the audience in opposition to this? Okay, Commission?
Mr. Chairman,
Mr. Hines?
why would we not want to leave it as commercial if it's surrounded by commercial? Why would you want to, I'm talking to staff now, why would you want to go with A4 zoning in a surrounded commercial?
Well, actually, staff is not against, a rezoning to an HC. However, there might be an HC1 or an NC might be more appropriate because it's directly abutting some single-family residences and mobile homes.
Okay, let me direct my question to the young lady over here. Now, would you be okay with you for the HC1?
Yes, sir, I would be fine with that,
Okay.
because that would allow for commercial use, is that correct?
Okay.
They wanted to build a small office building or something of that nature?
Right, yeah, okay.
I would be fine with that, yes.
Okay.
So you're going to amend your petition to HC1?
Yes, sir.
I make a motion to be approved for HC1.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Mr. Matthews?
Well, first of all, you had said C1, but you meant NC1 is what you're asking for.
Beg my
HC1,
ignorance.
I'm sorry, not NC, HC1. And this is not surrounded by residential. It abuts HC2. Okay. Would the bank be amenable to something a little less intrusive, such as a neighborhood commercial?
Which is the NC1 that you suggested?
No,
That's what we just said, isn't it?
HC1, it is a
HC1
neighborhood
is-
commercial rather than a highway commercial.
I'll be honest with you, I
It's
don't know
on
the
the
difference.
highway though, Mr. Matthews.
No,
Why
sir.
would you want to go with
No,
that?
it's not on a
It's
highway.
not directly on Spanish, Old
It's
Spanish
not on
Trail.
Old Spanish
No,
Trail?
No, sir.
No, it's not on a highway.
Okay.
It's several hundred feet off the highway.
As long as it's a commercial zoning, I don't really know the difference between an HC1 and an NC1. As long as it's not a residential zoning, I would be amenable to that. I just need to know which one you're
Well,
asking.
NC1 would allow things like law offices, accounting offices, insurance offices, that type of thing. NC2 has a list of about 25 other things, more in the way of shops. Bakeries, barbershops, florists, drugstores, that sort of thing.
I would think it's more suited to a business office. I don't think you get a lot of retail there because of where it's kind of off the beaten path. So I would
Okay, so
suggest,
what you'd be interested in would be more of the law offices, accounting offices, insurance offices, that type of thing?
yes, sir.
Okay, then that would be an NC1.
Okay.
Okay, so you all would amend your petition to an NC1, which is a lower density than HC, which is permitted. Is that correct, Helen? That we can, without having to re-advertise.
Yeah, if it's the wish of the commission, if the
If it's
owner.
lower, we don't have to re-advertise. Then I would make a motion to approve.
We have a.
We have a motion and a
We have a
second?
motion and a second to go to HC1.
HC1 or
Well,
NC1?
she's amending her petition to NC1.
Mr. Hines made the motion. Would you amend your motion to NC1?
I guess I'm asking you all to tell, do I want NC1 or do I want HC1? I'll take the lesser. Your recommendation was a C1 because it was what we had originally. Okay, what is HC1? NC1 should be fine.
Okay.
I withdraw my motion to make a motion that we go to NC1.
Second.
Okay, second by Mr. Willie Matthews. Any further discussion from the commission? Ms. Castlebond?
Yes.
Mr. Hines?
Yes.
Mr. Richard? Celeste? Willie? Davis? Lin-
Yes. Yes.
Okay, motion carries. Thank you. We're on 35. Zoning case 12-05-035. Existing zoning is A4, single-family residential. Proposed zoning A4A, single-family residential district. Acres is 22,842 square feet. Petitioner is Kevin P. and Mary B. Dean. Owner is Kevin P. and Mary B. Dean. Parcel located on the south side of Destin Street, east of Lamarck Street, west of Foy Street, being partial 2. Ward 4, District 7. Staff?
The 2025 future land use plan calls for residential development in the area. Staff does not see any compelling reason to increase the density to zoning A4A, considering that it's surrounded by A4 zoned property. Staff recommends denial.
Okay, thank you. We have a card here from Mr. Dean, wishes to speak.
I'm Kevin Dean. I live at 1716 Destin Street, which adjoins this property that I'm trying to get to what is it, A4A? A4 to A4A. Like I said, I live right next door. I bought the two properties next to me. One was a 60 by 190 with a house, and the one that we're petitioning is a 120 by 190 with a house. I bought them because the houses were ugly and dilapidated in 1956. So I did away with them. And what I thought I was going to do was to get rid of them, sell the two properties to get two new houses built. One I've already done that with, the 60 by 190. Construction is underway from a builder that bought it from me. He would like to purchase the other one, 60 by 190. They're telling me I can't do that, and I wanted to keep the 60 by 190 next to me. It's not easy to find property next to you and give yourself a little room, and that's what I'm trying to do. And I'm not, as far as the density thing, I don't understand, because they had two houses that when I took ownership, I was the landlord for these houses. I chose to take and have the people, find another place to live. I tore these houses down to build and upgrade the neighborhood. And my neighbors are all for this. And I have 29 signatures in my hand up and down the block on both sides of the street. And that's only because I couldn't get the 40 people that are going to sign this thing. I only have 29. So as far as, I don't think I have any opposition here, and I can did not bring the faces with me, but that is their signatures and their addresses where they live. Thank you.
Thank you. Does anyone here wish to speak in opposition? I'm going to close the floor to the public and turn it over to the commission. Mr. Davis?
Helen, the reason that you're suggesting not A4A, is it because of the lot size?
Yes, and when we look at the aerial, it appears that the houses in a surrounding are more on more than 60 foot wide. And
So
I'll be,
is
I'll
it
be
because
happy.
it's substandard, is that what you're trying to say? Because the zoning requirement would not meet that 60 by 190, but again, this gentleman lives on a 60 by 190 lot in a home that's zoned A4?
It is possible that he lives on a 60-foot lot. However, if you look at the plat here, parcel 1 and parcel 2A are currently one parcel. It's only one parcel. And what he's trying to do is to go back to 2 parcels. That's the reason why he's requesting the rezoning.
Mr. Matthews?
Yeah, Mr. Dean, I'm a little confused as to where you're actually trying to go. We show on this plat that we have parcels 1, 2A, and 2B. You live on one of these parcels?
No, I live next on a 120 by 190 next to this parcel. I bought
Towards Lamarck Street or 4th Street?
towards Lamarck Street. I live towards Foy, and I bought towards Lamarck.
Okay, so you live between Lamarck and these 3 parcels?
Correct.
Okay, and what are we trying to do with these 3 parcels?
I'm trying to keep one.
1A, parcel 1 is
Yes.
what you want to keep?
Let's see, I'm gonna look at it. I'm trying to keep 2B. I've already
2B.
sold this parcel 1 is already an independent 60 by 190, and it is sold and being built on.
Okay, now 2B, so you must live between Foy Street and
I live,
parcel 2B?
yes, between Foy and parcel B.
All right. What is 2A zoned? Helen, do we know what that is?
That's just,
It's A4.
A4? Okay, and you want to rezone 2B to A4A, and you plan on putting a house on that?
I don't plan on putting a house on 2B.
Okay?
I want the 60-foot to, not adjoin, but to be used as my side yard to give myself a buffer
Okay.
on that side. That's all.
Then it really doesn't make any difference what it's zoned, as long as you're just going to use it for your side yard. Is that
No,
correct?
No, currently, parcel 2A and 2B is only one parcel. And what he's trying to create is parcel 2A and parcel 2B.
Right, I'm
Oh,
showing,
okay,
Yeah.
okay.
yeah, I'm showing that on
Okay.
the
So it's
plot
parcel
plan.
1 and 2, and he wants to cut 60
Correct.
feet off of parcel 2
Yeah.
to make it 2B.
So the property is currently 120 by 190. And he
Correct.
wants to
Okay.
create 2 lots that are going to be 60 by 190.
So the problem we're having is, we're going to create 2A and make that A4A.
But 2A and 2B have to be A4A.
Okay. Yeah, and it really, okay, so we're recommending denial? Why are we recommending denial?
When we look at the surrounding neighborhood, it appears that the lots in the immediate vicinity, and I'll be happy to bring this aerial
It's
to
okay,
you.
I trust you.
It's, the houses are built on plat parcels
Larger.
that are larger than 60-foot wide.
Okay, but the house immediately adjacent to it, parcel 1, is a 60-foot.
Yes, that.
Yes.
And
Right
that's a-
next to it.
Okay, so that would be A4A.
It is
Immediately
currently,
adjacent,
it is currently A4, but
but it's non-conforming.
correct.
Okay.
I don't understand how it can't be conforming if you're allowing a house to be built on that right now. And lots north, south, and east of this neighborhood, which I've only lived in since 1966. I know all about this area, and I know the lot sizes and what's being built. And this is a very common 50, 60-foot lots, all in this area, continuously being built as we speak. And to be denied that, I just don't understand it.
No, parcel one is just, as far as the zoning, A4 and A4A, parcel one is just considered a substandard lot. It doesn't mean it's bad. It just means it's substandard to the zoning. That's all it means.
Right, okay,
So,
and-
now, but you're asking us to take parcel two, which is, you want to subdivide that into 2A and 2B.
Correct.
Keep 2B for yourself.
Okay.
And then put 2A back into the market as a substandard lot. Do you understand that?
If you're calling it a substandard lot, yeah, with a septic system and water all available. Okay, that's,
But we can't create a substandard lot, can we? Okay, so to allow him to get 2B is what he wants, we have to create 2A. And the only way to create 2A is by making it A4A.
Yes, he
And then we-
requested to create 2 parcels.
Okay, and
that's
we
what
would
he's
then
asking
create
for, is A4A.
2B to be A4A. Okay, this seems like, as Mark and I were talking, it locks in this parcel 2B that really can't be used for anything else, because it's gonna be his side yard, and you got the other house right next to it. It seems like we ought to approve it and let him get what he wants, and I would move to approve.
We have a motion to approve A4A, seconded by Mr. Davis. Any further discussion by the commission? Ms. Gasselbaum? Yes. Mr. Hines? Mr. Richard? Celeste? Willie? Davis? Manella? Matthews?
I made the motion, yes.
Motion carried. Next item is zoning case 12-05-037. Existing zoning is A1 suburban, proposed is A1 suburban with the rural overlay, 1 acre. Katrina Cherie is the petitioner and owner. Location, the parcel is located on the west side of LA 1077, south of Dummy Line Road, being 153 Highway 1077, Madisonville, Ward 1, District 4. Staff?
The 2025 future land use plan calls for residential and agricultural development in the area. Staff has no objection to the request for a rural overlay. Note that the site is proposed to be developed with a bed and breakfast. Staff recommends the request for rural overlay designation be approved.
Okay, Ms. Cherie? You want to come forward and then? Okay. You understand what the staff is recommending?
Yes, sir, I understand.
Okay, commission members have any comments? Is there any objection, anyone in the audience to oppose this? Okay, thank you. I'm gonna close the floor to the public. Mr. Davis.
Make a motion to approve.
Motion to approve, seconded by Mr. Willie. Ms. Casabon? Yes. Hines? Richard? Celeste? Yes. Willie? Yes. Davis? Yes. Manella? Yes. Matthews? Yes. Yes? All right, motion carries. Let's see, we handled item 11, it was moved up. Item 12 is zoning case 12-05-037. A2 suburban district is existing, proposed is A2 with the rural overlay, 0.46 acres. Petitioners James Kevin Kennedy, owners Kennedy Cemetery Incorporated. Parcel located on the west side of Chris Kennedy Road, north of Ted Kennedy Road, Ward 6, District 11. Mr. Kennedy?
The rural overlay is being requested in order to create a family cemetery on the subject site, and staff does not have any objection and would like to recommend approval.
Mr. Chairman, I'm very familiar with this, although I didn't realize you were here, Kevin.
Okay.
But, this cemetery already exists in reality, and all they're trying to do is just bring it into a corporation, put it in an LLC, and dedicate the road and the cemetery to it. And I'll make a motion that it be approved.
Okay, Mr. Kennedy, do you have any other comments?
No, it's just something that's been since 1968, and thought my grandparents took care of it way back then and didn't do it, and here we are left with it, trying to take care of it.
I'll make it a second.
Okay, we have a motion by Mr. Hines, a second by Ms. Casabon. Anyone in the audience opposed to this? Let's go back to the commission. Ms. Casabon?
Yes.
Motion carries unanimous. All right, that's, item 13 is zoning case 06-08-076. Major amendment to PUD, planned unit development. Acres is 9.13. Petitioner is Court Wittich, owner Wittich Villery Properties, LLC. Parcel located on the north side of Sunshine Avenue, east of US 190, Ward 3, District 2. Staff?
This is a major amendment to the PUD. This PUD development was presented to you in 2006, and it was approved for 32 three-bedroom units located on 16 separate building sites. And the site is now proposed to be developed similarly with 16 duplex lots consisting of a total of 32 units. The plans remains very similar, and staff would like to recommend approval of the major amendment to the PUD.
All right, the petitioner is Mr. Wittich.
How y'all doing? Court Wittich is my name, and me and a partner of mine recently acquired this piece of land, like Helen said, that has already had a approved PUD on it for 32 single-family homes, and we're looking to get approval to get it multifamily units. We're prepared to move forward with the development either way, but think that it would be in the best interest of the surrounding area and the surrounding community to put the multifamily development in. That's really all I have.
No. It was originally approved for 32 three-bedroom units located on 16 separate building sites. So it was more like a townhome development, and now what he's requesting is the same number of units, but it was gonna be duplexes, so they're gonna be attached.
Yeah, okay. All right, thank you.
Helen, what you mean is still gonna be the same amount of structures, or there's gonna be half the amount with two occupants per
Well, instead of
structure?
having two structures side by side, they will have a common wall.
Okay.
Says, the green space change any of this since you combine in anything else
No,
changes?
the green space remained the same, yes.
We have a number of cards here in opposition.
We have a lot of cards in opposition, a lot of us have cards in.
Yeah.
Our normal procedure is to let you all speak
Yeah,
before we start
Fix to
questioning.
go through, and then once we go through those in opposition, we'll go back to Mr. Wittich and for rebuttal. Roy Honeycutt?
My name is Roy Honeycutt, live at 19442 North First Street, Covington, Louisiana, 70433. I want to speak, first of all, addressed from Mrs. Helen Lambert. I have a letterhead here with her name on it stating that it was currently approved for 16 lots for single-family homes. That's in a letter addressed from Ms. Helen here. And they wordly changing that to 32 duplexes now, or 16 duplexes, meaning 32 single homes now. But this is a letter stated right here from Ms. Helen saying it was approved, and this was a letter going to the new developers. To touch off of that now, I'd like to say this. When that was approved back in 2006, the community of this area is a knit community, and it's old. I've been there all my life. We fought the original developer tooth and nail to get what he got. But in him getting that, and take this into weight into what's going on now, he was approving, along with Red and all the members of our community that are not all here tonight who fought it, that he was gonna pay for the infrastructure that was gonna get everything get up and gone. Now, I haven't talked with the new developers. Nobody in the area has talked with the new developers about that. So that was a lot of weight for the board, I believe, to take and say, we will consider the prior developer who has went bankrupt. And I hate to say that, but, and then I heard them speaking earlier tonight about the PUDs that were approved already over around the airport, they have went belly up. Them approved PUDs, I don't believe it's a good thing. That's just my opinion. You know, and anybody I think I speak for in my neighborhood, in that area of Claiborne Hill, would say the same thing. That developer went belly up. The new owners have purchased that within the past year. We learned of this within the past month that it was going to be redeveloped. We called, we heard it was going to be 32 units. Enough said on that. I want to touch on something. I got a letter here from someone who couldn't make it tonight, and it was addressed. It's Mr. Bill Kingsmill. He is the owner of the shopping center, St. Tammany Square Shopping Center at Rouse's and Big Lots. His letter was addressed to the mayor of Covington, because that's the city of Covington, and then to the parish president, Ms. Honorable Pat Brister. And in his letter, he states that, please be advised, Covington, that, I'm going to notice that as the owner of the Claiborne Hill Square Shopping Center and the St. Tammany Plaza, that it is my opinion the new retention pond is being constructed on my property, and this has got to do with Walmart right now, which is in the city of Covington, and that's a retention pond, and we'll get to where I'm going with this. It's got to do with the drainage. That retention pond of Walmart is being directed into the infrastructure that exists now under that shopping center. Mr. Kingsmill, who owns that shopping center, has paid years for reconstruction of his asphalt and concrete parking lot from it breaking up from the infrastructure underneath that. There's a canal that is a natural drainage that was put there 30 years ago when the original Woolco, which Walmart and where that shopping center sits now, the elders of our neighborhood, my father, 93 years old, still living today, he couldn't make it tonight, he wanted to. He told the people back then, there wasn't a council, but he told the people back then the pipe is not big enough.
Mr. Honeycutt, I'm going to stop you right there. I'm having trouble understanding what you're talking about has to do with this particular
Okay,
case.
that's where I'm going. That infrastructure that is being built, well, I mean, that development that the developers tonight are petitioning to put 32 units there, when it reads at 16, that is on that canal. That means there's going to be 16 toilets flushed if there's just individuals living at home, but they want to go 32 homes now. That's going to be 2 people in a home. That's 64 toilets flushed in the morning, 64 showers in the evening, going right into that canal. The property is on that canal. And the infrastructure that is going to take that weight is already burdened. There's been lawsuits of how, and Ms. Castaban, go ahead.
Well, to interrupt, Frank, we may have to, I've learned some information, what you've thrown the commission off, because we're here just to look at the zoning of this 32. You've explained to me y'all's concern
Yeah.
for that particular area. I see our engineer's not here, but I have found out from when you made questions about the Walmart structure going up and where the drainage went. I did some research. It wasn't on the duplex, so this was on about the drainage. I did get a phone call from the engineer with the Walmart project that the plans have been approved by the city of Covington, and our parish has reviewed those plans, and the water is being taken away from y'all and the Rouse's shopping center. It was one of y'all's concerns, and it's flowing in a different way. I think this is so involved, and there are so many of you here that have questions. I'm going to ask the commission that, and also I have some questions on the duplexes that I'm kind of confused about too, what we're actually doing or what the actual request is. I'm going to ask if we can table this and maybe have a community meeting with the people involved, that we'll have a better understanding of what your questions are, that your questions can be answered, but also ours concerning the exact changes to the duplex and how many they want to put in and how that's going to affect. Because I have more questions about that and how that's gonna affect the area, than, you know, with the drainage, and I know y'all have that question, so, I'm gonna make a motion to table this.
I'll
until we
second.
get the, everything involved with it, and we'll be able to have more information.
All right, we have.
Ms. Casabon,
Yes,
it seems like there are several people that have something that they want to say tonight. I think we probably ought to hear them and then make our motion to table if that's what
Fine.
we want to do. I
I'll
hate to shut these
withdraw my
people out because
motion
they
to
may have
table,
reasons
and we'll listen
for us
to it.
not to table it.
but
You're gonna withdraw your motion, Mr.
I
Hines?
guess so, I'll withdraw
Mr.
my
Hines,
motion,
you're gonna
and we'll
withdraw your
listen
second.
and see if we come up with any answers.
Mr. Hines?
I'll withdraw.
Okay. All right, we have other people, and before I turn it over to anyone on the commission, let's go ahead, and since it's not tabled, let's go ahead and hear these other folks. Some of them wish to speak, some didn't, okay?
But my suggestion is, stick to the duplexes, because the drainage, we don't have an engineer here. We don't have the plans because the project is within the city of Covington. And those are the questions I was gonna try to get answered for y'all later. But, let's just stick with the amount of duplexes and not get off on all the other, okay?
Okay, well, the subject of the duplex, as I read in the letter, it states it was 16. Everybody thought it was a 16 family homes. And you shake your head as no. The residents thought that, and which must be our mistake and loss, because we've got 9 of them done left because they had to go home already, but there's a lot more wanted to make it tonight. The posting even was some of the speakers wanted to talk about, and if my time is running short, if one would give me your time, I asked if I can have a time. But in that, the entrances to this area is another concern, a big concern. The infrastructure of the roads. Back when Red and we was talking with the Covington Gardens LLC, who was original developers, they was gonna come out of Monroe and go to Sunshine. Because the state of Louisiana, Mike Strain and everybody had wrote letters trying to see where we can get a light put at, because there's over 100 families in this area now that we can't go to the highway, no given time of the day, without yielding to a parking lot that has the red light. And that was took from us years ago, that light, and put into a parking lot. We are getting stomped on as the residents of Claiborne Hill. And we, like I say, thought it was 16 units, and we had kind of agreed to that back in 2006. The developer went belly up, a new purchaser, and I know him personally, nothing against him. Don't think that. I'm just thinking because of the infrastructure that has come on, the Trace retirement home, all that water has come to that canal. The roads are not up to it, and I would recommend on that, they wanting to go to 32 or wanting 32 approved, I would say, what can I do in my will to say, because of the times have changed, and there's more homes already in this area, and we still having trouble getting onto the highways, and the sewage is backing up, and the water's not draining. What can we do to amend something to say, let's go back to the original plan when we first walked in this place on that development, saying there was 9 acres. What do we have in that neighborhood? You look, and everybody's got it. The minimum is a half an acre. And that was the original fight. Let's stick with a half an acre. Build you a couple of houses, allow for your green space, put 12 homes. And we went with over 2.5 years with that developer back and forth here over this same issue, and he went belly up. And I'm at y'all's mercy, and along with my neighbors, I speak on behalf of them, I believe. And if someone...
I have a pointed question, please. I have a pointed question, please. With zoning, let's get this correct. Was this initially 16 lots with 1 home per lot?
No, it was 32 3-bedrooms, single family.
Single family, so you're talking about you're talking about basically 16 lots with maybe 2 townhomes, separate townhomes. So the only difference is the density remains exactly the same as was previously approved by this commission.
Correct.
Except now with duplexes, they're together.
They will have a common one.
Don't understand it.
So the original, just to clarify, the original approval were 16 individual lots with 2 separate homes per lot for a total of 32 homes on the lot. What the petitioner's now asking for is still 32 dwellings, only they'll be together on the same 16 lots.
Yes.
Density doesn't change for zoning, green space doesn't change for zoning, All they're doing is redesigning the way they want to put the homes together. Thank you.
So does that count as a
Well, if-
major?
if you have anything-
I read that letter too. I read the letter too where it clearly states from you, Helen, about the 12.
No, it's not from Helen, it's to Helen.
I mean, two.
It was to
Oh,
you,
right.
right.
Oh, sorry.
Not from Helen.
The developer even had the understanding that he had 16 units.
Helen, does
When he
that
purchased
constitute a major change in the PUD when all they're doing is changing the type of construction?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. We have some other folks, and they're actually over time now. Tom Metz. Tom Metz.
Can I defer to someone that's closer involved? I'll speak later if I can.
Okay. Margot Robin.
My name is Margot Robin. I live at 19402 Sunshine Avenue. I like to read you a paragraph. It says, "The PUD is currently approved for 16 lots for single-family homes. The property owner wishes to amend the project's PUD to include 16 lots with duplex units, therefore consisting of 32 single-family units." That is what was said. Okay, going back with that, we're talking about 3,000 square feet per unit, which means 1,500 square feet per family. This is 50 by 60 feet for 2 families sharing that area. This is substandard for the area, okay? Part of the environmental impact statement talks about a substantial concentration of people, of population. These homes are going to be 10 feet apart from each other. Talk about visual effect. The area is single-family homes with yards and fences and basic area around them. It's more of a country area. It is not suited for a development like that at all. It's supposed to have 1.67 units per acre. This includes a large pond and a lot of unusable green space behind houses, on the side, on the back, okay? The active green space consists of an exercise recreation space and a large walking path throughout the entire community. Most of the active recreational space is a walking path. This is not really what I would call active space. Now, the other thing, if you look at the top of the zoning stuff, it says roads, condition, fair. Fair is giving them a lot. Those roads are in very poor condition. I live on Sunshine. You cannot pass 2 cars there at the same time. One of them has to stop, pull over to let the other one go by. Okay? Originally, when they wanted to do this plan, they were going to put it on Sunshine, and that's why it was defeated. Okay? Now, they've gone around to take it out third. They can still easily come down to Sunshine. The way they're going to turn it, there's like 4 turns to get out to 190. The traffic on 190 is horrendous. When I come home from work, I cut through the Rouse's parking lot, go all the way down, all the way to my house, because I cannot make a left turn at 190 on Sunshine. It is just absolutely impossible. Those cars are 3 straight, bumper to bumper. If you want to get out of there, you have to go up to Rouse's and take the 2 lights and come out, because there's no way to get across 190. That's an absolute impossibility. Now, 10 of these 16 units are on wetlands. Now, when we built our house on wetlands, they told us we couldn't put an inch of property on that wetlands. We couldn't build anything on it. It was wetlands, and it was going to stay wetlands. Okay? We ended up putting a pond on it because it constantly had 4 to 5 feet of water sitting on it. Okay? So all of a sudden, they can put 10 units in whole or in part on wetlands. Now, as far as whether this is going to disturb the environment, I mean, that's why we have wetlands. All right, and as far as potential runoff, there was a PUD right behind my house on Sunshine, which they swore was not going to have any runoff. We went through zoning, we went through the council, okay? Final environmental said throughout the whole thing there would be no runoff. We're still getting runoff from that property. That property is another PUD that has gone bankrupt. There were 3 models built, 1 home was sold. 2 of the models is up for sale, and nobody's there. It's just that I feel sorry for the guy. He's got 1 house he paid for. It's sitting in the middle of nowhere, okay? But the whole property has been desecrated, and that's what we're looking at potentially happening here. Now, when you talk about traffic, all right, going from 16 family homes, which is what it says here, to 32, you're doubling the traffic, okay? Most people now have 2 cars. They're talking about putting garages on these and off-street parking on these. They're expecting a lot of cars, a lot of traffic. At best, will go to 190, very possibly will come down to my street. The other properties surrounding this are suburban, agricultural, or suburban. These are not apartment areas. Let me see if I missed anything. I wrote all this down. Oh, and my very favorite thing, this is phase one. Where are we going with this? This is phase one. It says right on these papers, it's phase one. Well, where is phase two going to be? Where is phase three going to be? Are we talking about that whole area being taken over by duplexes or fourplexes or wherever this goes to change a way of life in St. Tammany? In our area, we're sitting on property in Alpine Estates, okay, where you have to have 1 acre of land. We have 2 acres of land, okay, to all of a sudden having 32 properties on 9.63 acres, okay, right in the middle of all this. Okay, townhouses notoriously are sold to people who want to rent them out. Okay, that's who buys townhouses, particularly in St. Tammany. Okay, we're talking about a homeowners association being responsible for the grounds. We're talking about a homeowners association of absentee landlords. They are not going to be taking care of those grounds. They are not going to be keeping up to date on it. I mean, it's just going to bring the entire area down. That's all I have to say.
Thank you. Mr. Harold Harper.
Good evening, Harold Harper. I live at 20090 Oak River Place in Oak River Estates, which is immediately at the end of Sunshine Avenue. Just a couple of things I wanted to mention, most of which have already been mentioned. A couple of years ago, they did come before you, the previous developer wanted to take the road, as has been mentioned, out onto Sunshine. That was overturned because Sunshine, as many of you know, is a substandard road and very narrow and deep ditches on both sides. So I don't see that they're planning to do that, but I just wanted to mention that. Also, the other thing I wanted to say was that the other development that has gone in that you may be familiar with, immediately south of Sunshine on 10th Street, as has been mentioned, is they built 2 or 3 homes and it just hadn't taken off. So I don't see where this is really an economic project. Thank you.
Thank you. We've got, I believe that's all we had here to speak. No, we have David Dollamore.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is David Dallimore, and I am the president of River Park Estates Homeowners Association. My address is 20184 River Park Drive South. And although the developer may have gone through the processes and notifications required to bring this before the board, we were made aware of this. I guess we don't read the paper every day, but they put a public placard out to notify the residents of this area of this meeting. It was put on a road, a dead-end road, at the end of, what's it called, South? Short Road. So there was a firestorm of conversation today and phone calls, and I found out about it last night. There's a lot of things that come into play here. Most of them were mentioned by the lady before. I was forced, when I built my house in River Park Estates, to stay out of the wetlands. It was part of and I'm not sure this is true. I'm not sure that's the wetlands. It's all rumors. I believe Ms. Casabon has a very good idea. I believe that we should know what's going to happen here, what's entailed with the construction, how it's going to affect things. What's phase 2? It mentions it in the petition that he's got a phase 1 and a phase 2. I don't know all the facts. All the neighbors in my subdivision don't know all the facts. Oak Harbor, I think it's called, doesn't know all the facts, and we ask that the developer stand in front of us and explain what's going on, along with the parish engineer, the city engineer, to put down the rumors or questions people have about this development. I'm a realist, I'm in the construction business. I came before you guys, maybe not everyone here, several years ago. I know the process, and I think that developer, to gain our respect, should present to us his plan for this subdivision. I agree with Ms. Casabon, and hopefully we go in that direction. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, excuse me, Madam Chairman, we got a new one, huh?
Yes.
Okay, since we need to, these people, a lot of these people don't, need to meet with this developer, and, some of the council maybe want to meet with them, or the board. I'm gonna make a recommendation or a motion that we go ahead and table this at this time, and try to set up something between these people and the developer, and see if they can't work things out.
We still have people that wish to speak.
I understand that, but why do you want to
deny
sit
them?
here and talk about it, Mr. Matthews? If you, and it's not gonna, and we still table it, then why don't you do that at the meeting that you're gonna have with the
Because
developer?
these people have a right to speak at this public meeting. I don't know that I will agree with anything they have to say. That's not my position. But this is a public meeting, and I think they have a right to speak. And I really don't think we ought to tell them that what they have to say is not worth our hearing. I don't know what they have to say.
I didn't say that, Mr. Matthews. I said it needs to be brought to a meeting between the developer and these people, and
Well,
let them work it out along with somebody from this commission.
That may be right, but I don't know that until we've heard these people. I think they have that right.
Excuse me. The commission has the right to table any matter at any time, and once that motion to table is made and it receives a second, there's no further discussion on that motion. Now, it is within your prerogative, if you would like to ask the people in the audience if they're opposed to tabling it, and maybe speak on the issue of tabling. I'm just suggesting to save you time, if what you suggested, if you're gonna hear the case and ultimately table it anyway, perhaps it may be appropriate to ask the audience if they're opposed to tabling it, so that you can meet with them and meet with the developers and have the community meeting, rather than hearing the case and then ultimately end up where we're ending up with the motion to table a second and it get tabled to be heard again.
Well, I was making my motion
I
based on what
understand.
this gentleman just said.
By no means did I
Wait.
speak for these people.
Wait. Let legal counsel speak on the thing.
No, I understand why you made the motion. I was responding to Mr. Matthews about cutting off the public comment. You do have the authority, you do have the discretion to make a motion and a second to table, which ends the discussion, and it would be voted on, and it would be tabled. A minute ago, when you made the motion and the second, that was then withdrawn to give the public the opportunity to speak. Once again, you have the right, if you want to make that motion and the second to table. If you want to hear from the members of the audience who are opposed to the tabling for whatever reason, that may be appropriate, but you have the right to make the motion to table the second and go ahead and table it.
Neil, I completely agree that we have the legal right to do that. However, I don't think we should do that when people want to speak
I
at a
withdraw
public
my
meeting.
motion, Mr. Matthews. Y'all go ahead and speak, ladies and gentlemen. Whatever you have to say, be great.
Can I speak now? I just want to make it clear that I'm not speaking for anyone but myself in the River Park Estate subdivision. We don't know the facts. We'd like to hear them. In this forum, we're not going to get the facts. We're only going to hear what's been applied for and what your opinion is. We need to know what's going on first.
May May I ask the group back here, we have heard your concerns on drainage, traffic, the density, and, you know, how this development will affect. Is there anything different? Then let her come forward, something that we haven't heard. Would you like to come forward now to the podium and speak? Please.
Have you filled out a card, ma'am? And, okay. Pardon?
Connie Lacey.
Okay.
I'm Connie Lacey. I live at 71510 Jefferson Avenue, which is on the corner of Short Street. There was a sign that appeared at the very end of this very short street. The street only goes back to the house that was built on the back part of the property that I live on, because the person there before built it for their daughter, and that's the only person, that's the only house back there. It's for sale now, and it's very clearly posted for sale, so it's pretty obvious that there's no one in that house. The sign appeared back there on the 12th and the 13th, but it was yellow and gold, and there's an old house over there, and I thought it was in connection with the building permit that was up there, because it was yellow and gold. Didn't pay a lot of attention to it until we were watching the house one day. It was people there, and we went over there and thought, oh, this is public back there. This is a public notice. One of our neighbors was driving by and saw it and moved it up to the front of the street. It was then that we realized that no one in our entire subdivision of Claiborne Hill knew anything about the posting. That's the only sign that was put there. And we went around and we talked to the neighbors, many of the neighbors that are here tonight, and we made them aware of it. And then yesterday afternoon, I had yesterday and today off work, I thought, well, you know, gosh, the people up there on Sunshine on the corner might want to know about this. And I went up there and I got some reaction here and I got some reaction here, and some comments were, well, why isn't the sign posted on Sunshine? Why is it buried in the back of your subdivision where there's nobody even goes back there? We live off on a street that nobody comes on unless you live there, and this was back in the back of an off street. So I went around yesterday and I talked to many people door to door, and I got negative reaction. And I went on down Sunshine, and I turned the corner. I got negative reaction. I had to go to work, so I put the sign on my way home. I put it up there on the corner of Sunshine and Harrison Street, so everybody coming down Sunshine could see it. Well, I got back out today on my day off, and I made some little notices that I was going to put on the mailboxes. And all of a sudden, I started running to people that had talk. And everybody here tonight is really here because of the spread of word. But no one knew anything about it, and no one pretty much off my street knew about it until yesterday when I got out with my sign and my notices. Now, you're talking about having another meeting to talk about this. If you're going to do that, you better post it in such a way to where all of us can see it, because this was not posted, and everybody here is mad, number one, that the public notice of this was not posted correctly.
Ms. Lacy, that's the intent of Ms. Castlebon's motion, is to try and get a public meeting so everybody can sit down and talk a lot of the issues that you're asking about.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? Now, we've got a number of people here that turned cards in. They wanted to speak. Some didn't want to speak. I want to ask those that turned cards in, would you be willing to let us table this tonight so that you can have a public meeting and get some of the issues out?
How are you going to post the notice of this public meeting for us?
It will be posted just like the rest of
The card will notify you.
We'll set it.
No, we don't.
Okay.
If you're going to post it the way you posted
No,
it back on the back street back in there where nobody sees it, it won't work with us.
It will not be posted, but we have all the cards here with names and addresses on them except one. And that person lives at 19471 North 3rd Street. They didn't put a name on it. We can, try and get a name on that one. But y'all can get the word out, and we'll set a meeting tonight so that you can, get together with, the developer and have a public meeting and try and get things worked out.
But that would be great, because we were all thinking there was gonna be 16 houses, and now we're hearing from y'all that it was approved for 32. It's like, well, where did this happen? I mean, there's a lot of confusion, and there's a lot of people just really don't even know what's going on back there anymore.
Okay, do I have any opposition to table? To table it?
Please come forward and say it.
Come up to the mic, I can't hear you.
Who else would like to speak? You want to speak, he wants to speak, anybody else?
We don't solve anything here.
Okay, all right.
My name's William Rogers, and I live at 71538 Jefferson Avenue. That development's going to back right up on us. I'm not opposed to anybody developing it. In fact, you know, you spend your hard-earned money, then you buy property to do things with. We don't have a problem with that. We just need it to be done right. And 32 dwellings back there is too many on. I mean, we were just, like he was talking about the one out on Airport Road, 1.9. I mean, you got right there in the center, 8 acres. You can't put that many back there. All the homes in the area are on half-acre lots, and nobody wants that much density in that small area.
Okay, well,
And so we got no
well,
problem.
what I was
if you
going to
wanna-
say is, do y'all understand this has been approved? He can leave tonight and do
Well,
what's
we
on
understand
plan
that when
but
we were here, we followed this very closely.
I was
And
here,
yeah, we followed it very closely, and none of us were aware that it got approved. In fact, when we left,
but
it was tabled, and the dude fought. We never, unless it
Well,
was done.
It's been on the record since 2006.
Well, yeah, there's a
And
lot you can
this-
do on the record.
yes,
I understand that.
Martha.
But I'm telling you, we didn't know that.
But
Let me interject one thing, Mike. The only thing we have here before us tonight is not whether this PUD can be built, should be built, whether the traffic, none of that is before us tonight. The only thing that's before us tonight is whether he's going to have 32 townhouses or 32 duplexes. That's the only thing that's before us tonight. And
Right, and the duplexes are where
and
the.
the whole discussion is, what type of construction is this gonna be? Is this gonna be separate townhouses, or is it gonna be duplexes that have a common wall? That's the only thing that's before us tonight. And we can't decide whether this is the right thing for this area, whether it's too many houses, the sewerage, the drainage, none of that is before us tonight. That's all been decided in the past. Right, wrong, or indifferent, it's all been decided.
Okay.
But right now, all we have before us is that one question. And we can have a community meeting, and we can talk about that one question, or you can talk about anything you want. But that's the only question we have to decide.
Okay, well, no duplexes.
Okay.
And y'all understand the community meeting is for, this is kind of like not the right forum to bring out all your concerns, because we're supposed to be staying on subject, which is whether we do the duplex, how many, the style of the duplexes. But at a community meeting, you can bring out all your concerns, and that's what I was trying to say about the drainage and about this, that we can get in touch with the other entities in the parish to see how we can fix your problems, because that's what the community is about. We're not trying to shove something down your throat as a commission. When you put something in, when we put something in, we have to look at the whole area, and that's what I was trying to say, that if something's in the city of Covington, that maybe we can bring in that particular engineer to explain to you how this is going to affect you. And the fact that, and that's all, and we can't have a quorum, it's not all of us, it's like four of us commissioners that are here and listening and taking in your concerns, and then trying to find out the information that we can answer or solve some of your problems. And that's what we were talking about. And then with the developer's help, be able to have a clear picture of the before and the after and what we're looking at. And that's
I
what
really
we're
think
talking
it's
about.
gonna be in the best interest of everyone here
Helen, do we have a date?
to let the commission table this tonight, and you have your community meeting and come back next month.
Could I ask one question?
No, I think we've gone on far enough right now.
It's the question I really think we should be asked. I would like to ask the contractor if he's willing to meet everyone. No one's asked him if he would meet the people in the area. That's the only thing I'd like to know. All we have is next meeting.
Mr. Wittich, are you willing to meet with these folks and hear their concerns? Okay, there's your answer. Martha, you still want to table this?
What was your, yes, I'm sorry. I was
I'll
talking.
second it.
Okay.
And we have a date for
Okay.
the community meeting,
I have May 15th available,
May 15th.
which is a Tuesday at 6 p.m.
It'll be here,
here in the council chamber.
here in the council chamber.
May 15th.
May 15th.
Tuesday, May 15th, here in the council chambers at 6 o'clock. Ms. Casbon, you made a motion to table?
I made a motion to table, Mr. Hines seconded
Second?
for the community meeting on, and it's at 6 o'clock is when we hold them, and it's usually about an hour. And we request that maybe the developer bring us some large prints and let y'all look at the difference between what was, how he's proposing to change it.
Okay. The commissioners, is there any opposition to table this? The floor is closed right now.
Go contact your lawyer, ma'am.
Is there anyone here, any of the commissioners in opposition to this?
No.
Okay, Ms. Casabon?
Pardon?
To table?
Yes.
Mr. Hines?
Yes.
Richard?
Yes.
Willie?
Yes.
Davis? Okay. This item is tabled. Is there any old business? Okay. All right. And does everyone here understand that this is gonna come back to the zoning commission at next month's meeting? Okay, all right. Any old business to come before the commission? Any new business? Motion to adjourn. Thank you.
Move. Mr. Chairman, who's going to attend that meeting? We need to appoint no more than